Hey, what is up, my sweet and spicy people? It's your boy, Donish Ali, aka Curry D Pastry, back. Unless this is your first video, in that case, hello, welcome. But I'm back today with another video. And today, guys, we're gonna be just doing a simple tier list. This will probably be the first tier list on my channel. We're just ranking the MCU movies. I think it's all of them up to Deadpool and Wolverine, so it's, I think, pretty comprehensive. But yeah, I love the MCU. Probably because I'm a basic bitch, probably because I'm very easy to entertain, right? So let's go ahead and just start with this first one right here. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie was okay. It definitely wasn't bad. I had a lot of fun watching it, but I think for comparing it to like some of the other big projects in the MCU, like I think every Avengers movie, including Age of Ultron, was probably more entertaining. So I think this is actually a very strong C, if I'm being honest. Next up, Ant-Man 1. I love this movie. This movie kicked so much ass. It was so fun, so good. Every time I go back and rewatch it, it is about as entertaining as the first time I watched it, right? A really, really strong movie. It does kind of suffer from like the MCU first movie entry thing, right? Where like Iron Man's first major villain was, guy in evil Iron Man suit. Cap's first major villain in, the first Captain America was guy with, evil guy with same formula. Except I guess a little bit worse since his face turned all red. Same thing in this movie. His main villain is just a guy with his suit, his power set, but evil, right? That having been said, I did really enjoy this movie. It is really, really fun. I definitely think there are better movies on this list. That having been said, there's a ton of worse movies. I think I'm gonna sit it in B for now. I kind of like it in B. Now this, Avengers Age of Ultron. So when I first watched this movie, it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But on going back and rewatching the MCU like one or two times, I actually do really enjoy this movie. Not a ton, but I think I appreciate the value it has now more than I did when I was younger. It kind of, it sets up like the major disagreements between like Tony and Cap in Civil War, right? It really sets up like how those character arcs kind of diverge before converging, you know what I mean? And more importantly, if y'all are fans of The Office, the dude who plays Robert California in season 8 of The Office is the guy who plays Ultron. And when I realized that and that kind of like clicked for me, I started loving Ultron. Like I don't know why, but it was so good. It was so great. So I think this will probably be in B. I think I like it a little bit more than Ant-Man personally. But just barely. And that's because I'm a fan of like action figure movies, right? We get a bunch of different guys and just throw them all into one film. I'm a real big fan of team-ups, and that will probably become very evident as we go on through this. Avengers Endgame. I mean, is there really a question? Is there really even a question? Anybody who watched the MCU, there's no way this movie is like below an S tier. I can't imagine anybody would have this movie below an S tier. I think even giving it a rating is almost inappropriate. There's a really cool YouTuber, shout out Cosmonaut Variety Hour, I think is his name. He says that this movie was less of a movie and more of an experience, right? It was like the culmination of 22 other movies worth of narrative, kind of just coalescing into this beautiful, amazing film. I mean, truly, I can't remember ever watching a movie that made me feel more things than this movie did. And like that's on the full spectrum. Like I laughed, I cried, I lost my fucking mind. Y'all, that scene when Captain America is able to like wield Thor's hammer and starts beating the fuck out of Thanos, guys, come on, tell me that's not peak cinema. Maybe it's not. I'm actually not a cinephile, so I don't know. But that shit was so good, dude. It was so good. It has to be an S. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't think there's a movie on this tier list that is better than Avengers Endgame. That having been said, a potentially close second or third is the prequel, Avengers Infinity War. This movie was bananas. One thing I really loved about this movie is it really framed like kind of Thanos as the main character, not the hero, but the main character, right? It was really more about us following him and his various encounters with like the different heroes he was coming into contact with, which was fucking excellent. And the twist at the end, where he successfully snaps and he kills half the people in the universe, half the heroes we know and loved, just turned to dust. It is like, it's so excellent. It's so good. You guys, it's so... Oh my god, I'm losing my mind just thinking about how good. These two movies together are like the best 6 hours of entertainment you could probably have, in my opinion. I love these two films together. I might go rewatch them after I'm done with this. It's been a while. These were great movies though. These were phenomenal. Next up, Black Panther. A lot of people were giving this movie kind of like shit. I think for like the PS3 level graphics in the final fight, which fair, super fair. I get it. You know, Marvel, owned by Disney now, has a budget to make their effects way better. Their CGI should be way better. But that having been said, this movie was dope. I mean, this movie was fucking sick as hell. First off, T'Challa is maybe one of my favorite characters in the MCU, just in general. Love that guy. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Truly good. I really enjoyed like the relationship between Shuri and T'Challa. I really enjoy like T'Challa having to kind of come to terms with the fact that while he loved his dad so much, his dad didn't get everything right. His dad didn't do everything right. And I think that's kind of a lesson all of us kind of have to learn as we grow up, is that like our parents aren't infallible, right? They're humans. They make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes cause life-shattering events for other individuals who then want revenge against you and your family and kill a bunch of people to get that revenge, then come to your country and then fight you to death, and then think they kill you, throw you off a cliff, and then eat your plant that makes them magic. So you know, mistakes. Kind of some big ones, kind of some really big ones. But the scene where he's getting the power of the herb back, and he meets his father in the afterlife, and he's like screaming at him. He's like, "Well, you guys were wrong. You know, all of you were wrong." It's just, oh my, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. It's so good. It's such a good scene. That and like the chase scene where like T'Challa pulls up with his crew in that casino. Like, come on, that shit was dope, dude. And Shuri hijacks her car, but remotely hijacks it. I mean, that shit was dope, right? That was awesome. That was fucking lit. So I really love this movie. This movie was awesome. It also gave us, you know, Wakanda Forever, which is to date maybe not the best meme, but it's one of the better things to come out of the MCU. I think just that greeting in general. So I'm gonna give this a strong A. I definitely liked it more than Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. I definitely did not love it as much as Endgame and Infinity War. Civil War, dog. This movie, I watched this I think when I was like, it came out in 2015, so I would have been like 19 when I watched this. This movie, when it came out, to me, in my mind, was like the peak of cinema. You know what I mean? I was like, not only is it an action figure movie, but it's an action figure movie where your action figures start beating the dog shit out of each other. Dude, are you kidding me? And I think the thing I really liked about this movie is that the villain is just kind of a dude who's affected by the fallout of the Avengers, right? Like by the collateral damage of the Avengers. And like that's kind of what the whole movie's about, right? It's about like, I hate to be the guy to quote Spider-Man, but like with great power does come great responsibility. And the fact of the matter is while the Avengers were like, you know, stopping these like world-ending events, which is excellent, and I understand that collateral damage will be there, the fact of the matter is I don't think they were taking, and you know, I could be wrong, but I don't think they were taking great care to avoid that collateral damage, you know what I mean? And you know, I get it. Sokovia falling out of the sky, that's not great. A lot of people died during that, you know what I mean? Like, that shit sucked. But it's also like, you know, I don't know, man. I think the thing I still love about this movie is even now, I am still unsure of whose side I am on between Tony and Cap, right? In terms of like, should we need regulation? Should we have government oversight? Should we let our moral compasses guide us? Because when we let government oversight rule us, we end up becoming like instruments for politics as opposed to like instruments to save the world. You know what I mean? Like that whole just debate I'm still so unsure of. And that's kind of one of the reasons I love this movie. Because even now, almost a decade later, I still don't know. I still don't know who was right? And I know the movie kind of framed it like, oh, at the end of the day, Captain America was kind of right. Which I get. I mean, you know, guy has America in his name. His opinions kind of have to lean towards the, yeah, we're good and we can do this and we don't. His opinions kind of have to lean towards the thing that they kind of make right. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I do love this movie. This movie's phenomenal. Zemo is a phenomenal villain. But yeah, I think that hasn't been said. Also, Spider-Man was introduced in this movie. Yo, we got fucking Peter Parker coming through. That was dope. That was great. This movie's an S. Alright, next up, Captain America, and this looks like the winter. Oh no, this is just the OG Captain America. So I really liked this movie when I first watched it. I think on initial watching, I liked it more than the first Iron Man. If I were to go back and rewatch it now, I mean, I have rewatched it a few times. I still really do enjoy it. I don't know if I enjoy it more than Iron Man. I definitely enjoy it more than Age of Ultron. That's for sure. I definitely enjoy it way less than Civil War. I think I enjoy it less than Black Panther 2. For now, we'll put it at like the bottom of A tier. That may the bottom of A tier is not saying much. We only got 2 movies there. But I think for now I'll keep it in A. We may have to come back and make it like the top of B. But it is a good movie. I do really like it. I really like the dichotomy between Red Skull and Captain America, right? 2 men blessed with like kind of this ultimate power, who I think the doctor, whose name I'm forgetting, even told Steve, right? What the serum does, the super soldier serum does, it just makes you more of who you are, right? And so you got these like 2 kind of, not just politically, but like ideology, like just diametrically opposed guys, right? Diametrically opposed foes. But yeah, the fact that they're so intrinsically different and they both get the same serum, and it just, I really enjoy kind of the dissection of like, here's what somebody good with the serum would do versus here's what somebody evil with the serum would do. You know what I mean? And I really just enjoyed kind of watching that play out. And ultimately, it's just kind of like, at the end of the day, it really is just a struggle of kind of wills, right? Because there were like 4 or 5 different times during that movie where if Cap had just given up, if Cap's will had just been broken by the Red Skull, the movie would have been over. It would have been done. The movie would have sucked and it would have been a good movie. But I think the fact that he keeps on fighting, you know, he always gets back up. I think that's such a core characterization of Captain America, and I think it's kind of this, even in this first movie, it really just gets cemented that this is just a guy who, no matter how many times he gets pushed down, will always stand back up. You know what I mean? And I really love Cap. I think it's fine in A. For now, it's fine in A. Captain America Winter Soldier. This movie kicks ass, right? This movie's really fucking good. The action choreography in this movie is, I think, maybe some of the best in the MCU. I mean, just that elevator fight scene alone is just so good. So good. And the fact that, like, they reveal Hydra is working within S.H.I.E.L.D. this whole time. Like, so many good twists and turns in this movie. First time Nick Fury dies. But this movie's awesome. We learn that Bucky is still alive, which is great. I love Bucky in the first Captain America, and the fact that he died kind of sucked. The fact that they brought him back for the second one was killer. I loved that a lot. We also get, like, the Black Widow and Cap friendship here. Like, that relationship kind of really gets fleshed out in this movie, and I really like it. I think I really enjoyed how just, like, you know, there for each other they were. You know what I mean? Like, not in a romantic way, but it was so nice just to see, like, platonic friendship between a guy and a girl just on screen. Especially a guy and a girl who were as hot as Chris Evans and ScarJo, because goddamn, that's who could not be me if I were either of them, dog. But I do really like this movie. I I definitely don't like it more than Civil War. I do think I like it more than Black Panther. So I think what we'll do is we'll rearrange it kind of like this. Captain Marvel. This movie was cool. End of discussion. We'll put it in. Do I want to put it in D? I don't think it was a D tier. Well. I don't know. I'm torn between C and D. My issue with this movie is that this movie came out after Infinity War to kind of like fill in the blanks of like what was the thing that Nick Fury hit. Nick Fury also dies in Infinity War. I forgot. He does. What was the thing that Nick Fury hit at the end of Infinity War before he gets dusted away, right? And I kind of wish we had just gotten this movie beforehand, because then I feel like it would have been less messy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they tried to shove too much exposition into this movie. I also really didn't super dig the stuff on the Kree planet. Really, the things I didn't like about this movie were Captain Marvel's backstory. The stuff when she was on Earth, the stuff that was Nick Fury's backstory, excellent. The stuff that was Captain Marvel's backstory, kind of whatever, didn't really give a shit about it. I like Captain Marvel herself, good character. I just think in this movie her presence isn't really strong because she doesn't really know who she is, and I think that kind of comes out in the performance. But the issue with that is that it's hard to kind of get behind a character who is unsure themselves of who they are. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for me it's kind of difficult to be like, yeah, I love Captain Marvel, when Captain Marvel doesn't even know if she should love herself, you know? If that makes sense. Also, that like girl power scene at the end, it was fine. I didn't have anything against it, but it was really like hand-holding me, like, yeah, look at us, Marvel supports women. And it just, I don't know. If y'all have seen The Boys, season 2 of The Boys, with the girls get it done scene, where I think it's Starlight, Queen Maeve, and what's her name? Oh, I just watched season 4. How am I forgetting her? Kimiko. Those three just start beating the dog shit out of the Nazi chick. That is women empowerment, all right? Because there's nothing like hand-holding about it. It's just 3 women just straight up beating the fuck out of a Nazi bitch. And that's, go watch The Boys. If y'all like superhero shit, go watch The Boys. The Boys is peak. I love The Boys. But we're not here to talk about The Boys. We're here to talk about Marvel. I think I kind of talked myself into D, if I'm being for real. That just the hand-holding scene of that, like, girl power, do it like a woman scene. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. And if that makes me sound anti-feminist, well, What I did really like about this movie is Maria, I think Rambeau is her name. Phenomenal character. Love that character. Love her daughter. Love the fact that her daughter appeared in WandaVision and the Marvels. That shit was peak. It was great. So I loved that. Didn't really care for Carol Danvers so much in this movie. And didn't care about the Krees in this movie at all. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? Oh man. I don't think this is going to be a hot take. I don't think this movie, I like Ant-Man and the Wasp way more than this movie. I like Captain Marvel less, I think. I think I might actually move Captain Marvel down to F, if I'm being for real. Because I didn't love Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness at all. But I know I liked it way more than I like Captain Marvel. I think this is probably correct. I like these 3 here. Multiverse of Madness. So, this movie, I think part of the issue that I have with this movie is I went in with such high hopes. Like, after watching the first Doctor Strange, I was like, oh, second one has to do with multiverse shit? Dog, come on, this is gonna be fucking tight. And I think a few issues I had with this movie. Issue number 1, it's called The Multiverse of Madness. They only go to one other universe, and we see Wanda go to, like, another universe, so that's 2 other universes. We get a total of 3 universes in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I just feel like when you call a movie Multiverse of Madness, go to a bunch of different universes. You know what I mean? Don't limit yourself to just 3. It should have just been like the tri-universe of madness, which would not have marketed as well. But even still, I didn't like that. It kind of felt like the title misled me, if that makes sense. Second thing I didn't like, Doctor Strange was kind of dumb in this movie. And I might be wrong, because I only watched it the one time, and I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't go back and watch it again. But if memory serves, he was just kind of acting stupid for a while. Like, for example, the first monster he fights, right? He has that cool scene where he, like, finishes his drink, and then he just jumps off the little, like, roof he's on, or the balcony he's on, and he turns into, like, the Doctor Strange outfit, and then he flies off to fight her, right? And I was thinking the whole time, I was like, yo, why don't you just make a portal and, like, just laser this guy's, like, one tentacle off and just be done with it, you know what I mean? And when he wasn't doing it, I was like, oh, I guess maybe he doesn't have, like, the magical capability to make a portal that large. But then, that's how they end the fight. That's how they fucking end the fight. They just do that. And I was like, well, what the fuck, dude? Should have just led with that. I feel like it would have been easier. I feel like that's like the most broken trick you have. Just do that all the time. What is going on? You know what I mean? So I didn't really enjoy that. Things I did enjoy about the movie. That, like, the horror elements that Sam Raimi put in, with, like, Wanda specifically, I think were so good. Like, the scene where she's fighting the, I think they're called the Illuminati in the alternate universe. She turns Jim. I'm sorry, I don't know, Jared Paleck. No, not that guy. The guy who plays Jim from The Office, Mr. Fantastic. She turns him into spaghetti. She crushes Captain America, I think, and she gets rid of Black Bolt's mouth, and Black Bolt's head just explodes. Dog, that's fucking awesome. That shit was dope. That's kind of the reason this movie's in D tier, because there were individual scenes in this movie that just kicked ass, right? The fight between Evil Strange and Good Strange, that was excellent. I thought that would be a what if tie-in when I saw the trailers. It wasn't, which I'm not super disappointed in, but it would have been cool, right? So I think there were a lot of good individual scenes, but I think from, like, a narrative standpoint, from like a character standpoint, the movie didn't really do justice to Doctor Strange. It did justice to Wanda. Wanda was good in this movie. I will say, I was gonna say it's kind of weird that she turned evil, but not really, because at the end of WandaVision, we saw her with the Darkhold, so it's fine. But yeah, I didn't like the way they kind of character assassinated Doctor Strange. And also, America is, I think, her name. She was cool, but she was weird. Like, a weird inclusion, I guess. Like, I understand she kind of had to be there for the movie to happen, but I feel like they could have made the movie happen without shoehorning in another character. That's just my 2 cents. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it in D. I don't think it's a C tier. I definitely don't think it's an F tier, but I think it's fine here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie is pretty awesome. I'm gonna say right now, I love the entire trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy. All of them are fun every time I go back and rewatch them. All of them make me feel multiple different ways in a good way, which is fantastic. I do think of the trilogy, this is maybe the weakest. I get it's, like, insight into, like, Peter Quill, you know, but I think at the point in time when this movie had come out, I was really looking for, like, building blocks towards Infinity War. I was really looking for, like, building blocks towards, like, the greater MCU narrative, right? And this was, like, a much more kind of withdrawn movie, kind of much more isolated. The fact that Peter is, like, half angel demigod thing, cool. Celestial, I think is what it is. Maybe. I could be wrong. Very cool, very awesome. Love that for him. That's great. And then, you know, a lot of really good funny scenes. Introduction of Mantis. I love Mantis. Mantis is a great character. Very good comic relief. But that being said, I feel like when I watched this movie initially, it just didn't deliver the way I wanted it to. And I think that's the only thing kind of holding me back from putting it into S tier. Did I like it more than Black Panther? No, I don't think I did. I love Black Panther. That movie just felt dope. Watching it just felt sick. But I think it's a strong A tier. I think we can leave this in A tier pretty comfortably. Also, just kind of like analyzing, you know, who Peter is, right? That's really what the movie's about. Is kind of characterizing Peter more than just a jackass who kind of goofs off and gets the mission done regardless of his moving on. It kind of expands on, like, his and Gamora's relationship as well, which I like, and it also expands on Gamora and Nebula's relationship, which I also really enjoy. I'm a big fan of, like, sibling stories, you know what I mean? which is why when we get to Thor, y'all are going to see some stuff. This is OG Guardians of the Galaxy. This is an easy S tier. It's not even a question for me. This is not an action figure movie in the traditional sense, because I didn't know who any of these fucking characters were when I first watched it, but I loved all of them. All these characters were so excellently written. I think having just a goober like Ronan be the villain was really, really good for a bunch of, in the words of, I think, Cam Patterson, a blue guy, a tree, a raccoon, and a guy with gumption. I think it's like the perfect villain for them, right? The final scene where, like, with the dance-off, where Peter's like, he just kind of stuns Ronan because Ronan's like, what the fuck am I looking at? And then they all, like, they grab the power stone, they all, like, hold hands and join together, and it's like a very power of friendship, power of family movie, which I was raised on anime, so I love that shit. That shit is awesome. Also, the We Are Groot scene, I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. Good scene, very good scene. And also, this is, I think, the first movie where every single song out of it was a goddamn banger. It was so fucking good. So yeah, easy S tier for me. Do I like it more than Civil War? That's really the question. I love Civil War. But I think I love Guardians more? I think so. I think just thinking about the movies, like, if gun to my head, which one would I rather watch at any given moment? I think I'd rather watch Guardians, because, like, Civil War is good, but it's also kind of heavy. Guardians is, like, lighthearted, it's fun, and even when it does get heavy, it still kind of has, like, a little sense of, like, levity, which I really enjoy in movies. So I think I like Guardians a little bit more than Civil War. So we'll keep Civil War at the bottom of S. This is Iron Man 3. This is an easy C, I think, for me. I did enjoy this movie. This movie was cool, and it was very interesting watching, like, the ramifications of Avengers 1 on Tony, right? Because he's obviously dealing with PTSD from almost dying, going out into fucking space, then almost dying, right? And it's really cool seeing him problem solve without his Iron Man suit. You know what I mean? I wasn't a big fan of the villain switch up at the end, but it was very funny, and it did kind of come around full circle in Shang-Chi, right? And this also kind of, again, it kind of gave us more of, like, Pepper and Tony. It kind of gave us, like, the scene with, like, Tony finally fixing himself, like, fixing the stuff in his heart, or I guess the doctor doing it for him, but, like, it's a good scene. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I like this movie. I don't like it as much as Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is why it's lower. Definitely like it more than Doctor Strange. That's really all the movie is, right? It's just kind of like an analyzation of PTSD from the point of view of Tony Stark. And also kind of like problem solving from the point of view of Tony Stark. Iron Man 2. I think top of D tier for me. This movie was fine. It was cool. I guess I liked it. I didn't feel strongly about it one way or the other. Do I actually want to put this in C and move Iron Man 3 up to B? No, I don't think so, because I think these two movies are both head and shoulders just better than than Iron Man 3. So yeah, no, I like this. Iron Man 2, I think, belongs in D. It was neat, I guess. What was this one about? It was about the guy with the whips who uses arc reactor technology, and Tony's like, oh, I'm the only one who has that, and then this guy shows up and he's like, no, you're not, and that one head of the other company was in charge of this guy. I don't really know. I don't really remember. Kind of forgettable. Maybe this is actually F tier. Maybe it is. I kind of feel like, I don't know if I enjoyed Doctor Strange more, but I know I remember Doctor Strange more. And I went back and I rewatched the MCU after I had watched Multiverse of Madness, and I still don't really remember this movie. So I think this movie does one thing that a movie should not do, and that is be forgettable. Because I almost forgot this movie was here. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whatever movie. I didn't care about it. Let's move on. OG Iron Man. Oh boy. This one is tough. I do like it. I know I said earlier that I like the first Captain America more on initial watching, but on rewatches, this movie's just good. It just is. Is it top of A, bottom of S? I don't think it's close to Civil War. I also kind of think I like Winter Soldier more. I think we'll keep it at A. This movie's fucking excellent. It's fucking, first off, it's the start of the MCU, right? This was before we knew anything about the Avengers. It was before we knew anything about Thor. I think this was the first movie, right? I think it came out a few months before the Incredible Hulk did. This movie it's awesome, dude. But Tony Stark gets kidnapped by terrorists, and he builds the OG Iron Man suit in a cave with a box of scraps, right? Like it's tight, dude. It's awesome. It's so good. Also, the terrorists spoke Hindi, which I understood. Maybe not a good look for my people, but it's cool to like hear your native language in a movie and like you not need subtitles to understand it, right? That's sick. So I really like that. Obadiah Stane is, I think, his name. I could be wrong. Jebediah? No, Jebediah doesn't sound right. I think it's Obadiah Stane. Maybe Obadiah Stone. Obadiah something. I'm gonna stick with that. Really good villain. I really like the fact that he was friendly with Tony until like the heel turn was revealed that he was the one who hired the terrorists to kidnap Tony Stark, right? So that was phenomenal. That was really excellent. I really enjoyed the fact that Tony was kind of a warmonger until he got kidnapped and he realized that his weapons, which he thought he was providing to America for like the safety of the states, was actually being sold worldwide to a variety of organizations that were using those for, quite frankly, just harm and violence, right? And when he realized that, he came back and he was like, yeah, you know that main thing my company does? Shutting it down. We're not worried about that shit anymore. You understand? Like that's awesome, dude. The fact that, I mean, it sucks that, he had to be terrorized, literally, for it to happen. But it was so good. That we kind of get like the first flirtations between him and Pepper, which is nice. Introduction of Happy Hogan, fun character, love his character, that was really cool. We also get OG, his name's Terrence Howard. What's his name in the goddamn movies? Rhodey. OG Rhodey. Which I really liked him. I wish they hadn't recast him, but I get why he left. They didn't offer him any amount of money close to what everybody else was getting offered, so I would have probably left too. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I really enjoy fame. So that's me personally. I like attention like that. So maybe I wouldn't have liked it. But I get why he did. And I really like Don Cheadle as Rhodey as well. So, don't get me wrong. That's cool. But I really enjoyed Terrence Howard's performance as Rhodey in this movie. And I really liked it. So, yeah. I think A is fine. This is also the first movie that introduced, like, the villain is the hero, but evil trope. So I think it gets a strong pass with that. You know what I mean? Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie was... I don't know, is this Far From Home? No. Is it? Is this Homecoming? It might be Homecoming. Let's see, hold on, I have to take a look now. Where is... Okay, so here's No Way Home. This one has Tony on it? Oh no, this one is No Way. This one is Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. Okay, so we'll do these in order. All right. Homecoming, strong movie, good movie. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. This movie is phenomenal. I definitely enjoy it more than the OG Cap and Iron Man. So it's definitely gotta be up here. I think I'm gonna move Cap, the OG Cap movie down to the top of B if I'm being for real. And I think this will come like right here. I still think Winter Soldier's a better movie for sure. Black Panther, I think I kind of like Black Panther more than Iron Man as well. I think I like Guardians 2 more than... I think I'm gonna move Iron Man also to the top of B. This list is getting different from what I imagined, but it's fine. Ooh, let's not have this lag that we're having. Yeah, there we go. Alright, this looks good. Yeah. So Spider-Man Homecoming is a fun film. It's a really fun film. And it's really about a young hero, a young teenager really, trying to come into his own, you know what I mean? Um, and I don't know, I really like stories about young people kind of trying to find who they are. You know what I mean? And that's really what this movie's about. Cause and I think the most pivotal scene in the movie, the scene in the movie that I think really kind of delivers that message is the scene between Tony and Peter, where Peter has inadvertently caused that ship to like break in half, and Tony has to come and save it, right? And Tony's like, I need the suit back. And then Peter's like, no, please, Mr. Stark, I'm nothing without the suit. And then Tony goes, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And I think that scene just kind of summarizes the entire conflict of the movie for me, right? Because the reason Tony gave Peter the suit is because he saw something great in Peter. But Peter took that as like he took the suit to kind of be the thing that made him great, you know what I mean? That's what makes the third act of this movie so phenomenal, is that it's kind of Peter coming into his own as Spider-Man without the high-tech stuff, you know? It's him, his web shooters, his stupid face mask, I think it's a hoodie, and his jeans. And he's just going out, he's kicking ass with that, you know what I mean? And it's phenomenal. It's really, really well done. And I don't know, I really like this movie. Like, this feels like a very good coming-of-age story, if you know what I mean. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. And that's definitely my inherent bias towards my own love of Spider-Man. I do love Spider-Man in time. Spider-Man's fucking awesome. But yeah, I think it is good for him. As much as it breaks my heart, I did like it more than Black Panther. And as much as it breaks my heart, I do think Winter Soldier is still the better movie. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Do I like it more or less than Black? This is definitely an A-tier movie for me. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it'll be the bottom of A-tier. I think that's probably a good place to put it. I did enjoy Homecoming more. But I still did really like this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, phenomenal. Phenomenal casting, phenomenal acting, right? The fact that Zendaya and Peter kind of get together in this movie, I love. The fact that Zendaya figures out Peter is Spider-Man without him having to tell her, also phenomenal. Love that too. This is also where we get the stuff of what's his face, Eddie Brock. No, it's not Eddie. Spider-Man's bully, the guy who's played by forgive me if I'm mistaken, the Indian / Pakistani / Bangladeshi dude. He's great in this movie. The fact that he's such a big Spider-Man fanboy and he's also just shitting on Peter the entire movie. Great. I love that. And I really loved, again, this is kind of a continuation of the story of Homecoming, right? Because in Homecoming, Peter has Tony to kind of rely on and mentor him. But in this movie, he's dealing with, like, the loss of that mentor. And when he finds Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, he kind of finds a replacement Tony almost. He's like, oh, this is a guy I can trust. This is a guy I respect. This is a guy who I think would be better equipped to have the glasses than me, right? So he gives him the like super awesome dope glasses. And then of course the twist at the end that's revealed that Mysterio is actually a very, very clever act on like, I think, a conglomerate of people from Stark Industries who Tony, I guess, pissed off. Phenomenal. I mean, so good. What a good twist. And then it kind of comes to like, kind of Peter having to trust his instincts. Peter lost his Spidey sense after an Endgame, right? And I think that's a really big part of, or the Peter tingle, which I forgot about until just now. But I think that's a really big part of this movie, right? And I think just him losing Tony is kind of what led to him losing his Spidey sense. Because his Spidey sense, in a way, at least the way I interpret it, is kind of his sense of self, in a way. And when he lost Tony, he lost his mentor, he was kind of unsure of who he was becoming and who he was, you know what I mean? So I think the poetry of like Peter getting the Spidey sense back as he's fighting Mysterio in the third act is very good, because it's kind of in that moment where he kind of realizes who he is, you know what I mean? And I think that's really, really good. And just the mindfuckery that Mysterio plays with Peter throughout this entire movie. The fact that when Happy shows up and Peter's like, get away, are you real? Are you who you say you are? Like the fact that Peter has been so damaged by Mysterio in that way it's so well done. And the fact that it's Happy who like shows up, he's like, uh, and he just kind of reminds Peter how much of Tony is in him, you know. And I think it's a very beautiful and poignant movie in that way. I know it's not necessarily marketed that way. I know it's not necessarily supposed to be interpreted that way, but that's kind of how I interpreted it. You know, I really like this movie. This movie is really, really good. So yeah, I think bottom of A tier is fine. I think it's there. I think I maybe like it a little more than Guardians 2. Maybe Guardians 2 should be the bottom of A tier. I think that looks good. No Way Home. Whoops. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know we have arrived at the second best movie in the entirety of the MCU. I love this movie. This movie was awesome, dog. Come on. We got Tom Holland Spider-Man, but we also got Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, but we also got Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Dog, do you understand? As somebody who was raised on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, somebody who was kind of a teenager, like a young teenager when the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies came out, like I was raised by these movies. They also brought back like all the good villains. I mean, fuck, dude, Willem Dafoe? Or not Willem Dafoe. Whoopsie. What's his name? Is it Willem Dafoe? No, that can't be right. The guy who plays fucking Osborn, Norman Osborn. It's not William Shatner. I'm forgetting. I feel so bad. Well, anyway, his performance in this movie was fucking phenomenal. The Green Goblin was amazing. And just everything about this movie was so good. So well done. Aunt May dying. Tragic. Very sad. Excellent. Peter, Tom Holland, excuse me, almost killing Green Goblin, but then Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stepping in and just giving him that look. And then Tom Holland like relents. He's so pissed that he can't kill Green Goblin, but he still doesn't kill Green Goblin. It's just, oh my god, dude, it's so good. The like little trio fight scene where they're all like choreographing with each other like where they should be during the like big end scene where they're all fighting against all those various villains. Like that was phenomenal. That was really well done. It was just good. It was just good. It was just a good movie. I just really like this movie. If you like Spider-Man, there's no way you don't love this movie. I love this movie. This movie's awesome. On to the next one. OG Avengers. Bum bum ba-da, ba-da-na. This has got to be bottom of S. It's got to be. Because I like it way more than I like Winter Soldier. I like it a little bit less than Civil. Do I like it less than Civil War? Maybe I... You know what? No. I think Civil War's still going to be at the bottom. I think I like this movie just a little bit more than Civil War. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Watching the first Avengers in theaters for the first time was an experience in and of itself, right? I hadn't even watched Thor yet, so I was kind of confused as to who the fuck Loki was, you know what I mean? But just I think what really makes this movie so iconic in my mind is kind of the way they gather the heroes, if that makes sense, right? Like we get little vignettes of Natasha going to see Bruce and like recruiting him. We get a vignette of like Nick Fury going to recruit Cap, and then Cap gets on a plane with Coulson, and Coulson's like, "Yo, I'm a big fan," and then Cap and Bruce meet, right? And then we get a vignette of Iron Man, kind of just making his city run on architecture technology, so it's completely clean, or excuse me, not a city, but Stark Tower. So it's run on completely clean energy. Like that's dope. And then we see the scene where Cap like squares up against Loki, and then Iron Man shows up to square up against Loki, and like that scene is so phenomenally good, right? Just the scenes where like every scene in this movie, I feel like pushes the plot forward. Like there is no scene in this movie that I think is without any sort of consequence. Like every single scene in this movie does something to advance the plot, which is phenomenal. It's so good. And there's a lot of like levity in it, right? Like this is the first time we kind of get himbo Thor a little bit, and I love that. I don't love how Thor's characterized in Thor 1 and Thor 2, but when they go full himbo in Ragnarok, it's phenomenal. It's great. And we kind of get like the first inklings of that in this movie. We also get the first inklings of the Tony Cap rivalry in this movie, which is also very good because that kind of like permeates throughout the rest of the MCU, right? So that's great. But yeah, this movie's awesome. This movie's great. The final scene where Tony takes the nuke and shoots it up into space is awesome. And then the after credit scene where they're all just chilling eating shawarma is great. That's what made me want to try shawarma for the first time. Which, fun fact, I didn't try shawarma until like 10 years later. But I did eventually try it. And the reason I tried it is because I watched them eat it in Avengers. So, you know, something, I guess. Alright, next movie, Incredible Hulk. I never watched this movie. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I never watched this movie. Never felt like I needed to watch this movie because it has Edward Norton instead of Mark Ruffalo. And I know they're like supposed to be the same character, but it didn't vibe with me. I didn't get it. We'll put this at the bottom of F because I just didn't like it. Thor Ragnarok. Oh baby, y'all want to talk about a good? Actually, we should probably do this in order. So let's go Thor. Shoot. Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3. Alright, Thor 1. Thor 1 will throw in C tier. I liked it a little more than Iron Man 3. This movie is good. It's fine. I did really enjoy Loki's performance in this movie. Tom Hiddleston is, I think, by far the standout actor in this movie. I also really enjoy Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth, like, chemistry in this movie. It was also really good. But it was also kind of, like, Shakespearean. And, don't get me wrong, cool vibe, I guess. Not really for me. For like I don't think the average comic book enjoyer wants Shakespeare in their movies. You know what I mean? Some of them might, and you know, if that's you and you like this movie for it, hey, you know, more power to you. I didn't love that part personally. The battle against the Destroyer, whatever the fuck it's called, was kinda, it was neat, but it was just kind of a bunch of flashing lasers, right? I do dearly love, I think one of my favorite scenes in this movie is that final scene where Thor is hanging on to Loki. He's like telling Loki, don't let go. And then Loki's like, nah. And then he just drops. You know what I mean? And I think that's the one reason, I think that's the one thing about this movie that I really enjoy, and it's the reason this movie isn't in D or F, is because this movie at the end of the day is really just a story about two brothers who are kind of at odds with each other because they both want the kingdom. You know what I mean? And one of the brothers is getting it, the other one isn't, and he thinks it's because of his blood, or he thinks it's because, you know, his father doesn't love him as much, and that's not the case. It's because his dad knows that, you know, the power would kind of corrupt him, you know what I mean? Because he's already so, like, tricky and sneaky, and that's not how a king should necessarily be, you know? At least not in Odin's mind, and not in most people's minds, right? And I think Loki kind of proved that, because he put Odin into the Odin sleep just to get the throne, you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of like the snake eating its own tail, the Ouroboros. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, you know. But I do love how much love there is between Loki and Thor in the beginning, and I do love how much love Thor still has for Loki. But Loki, I think there is love for Thor and Loki in this movie, but there's also so much just hatred and jealousy, you know. So I think it's cool. I love this. It's awesome. I really dig this, like, dichotomy between them. And like I said, I'm a big fan of sibling stories, so I like it for that. So C is fine. Thor: The Dark World. If there was a tier below F, I think it would go there. I haven't even seen The Incredible Hulk, and Thor: The Dark World is lower than that, right? I don't even remember Iron Man 2, and Thor: The Dark World is lower than that. That's how much I did not enjoy this movie, which is a shame, because Christopher Eccleston, I loved him in Doctor Who. He's a good actor. He's a really good actor. I just think the plot in this movie is dumb as shit and it doesn't make sense. This movie is so bad, they had to have heavy parts of it in Endgame to make it relevant. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I just didn't like this movie. I just didn't. The best part about this movie is Darcy. I like Darcy a lot. Darcy's a really cool character. And the fact that she's a side character who gets like maybe 4 or 5 scenes and she's the best part of the movie, like that's not good. That's not how you make a good movie, Marvel. Come on, you know that. But no more on this movie. It sucks. I hate it. Probably my least favorite movie in the entire MCU. Thor Ragnarok. Oh baby, I love this movie. I think I might love this movie more than I love Guardians of the Galaxy, if I'm being for real. And I'll tell y'all why. This movie on initial watching was good. But of all of the movies on this list, including Endgame and No Way Home, this is the only movie in the MCU that somehow gets better every time I watch it. And I don't know how that works. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does. This movie I get more entertainment from this movie watching it now than I did when I first watched it, which is insane to think about. Because I know everything that happened in this movie, and yet I still enjoy it. You know how much of a Marvel a movie has to be for it to be more enjoyable on rewatches? Like this movie's awesome, dude. First off, it brings back Loki and Thor together in a friendly rivalry type way, which I love. I love it when siblings come together under a common cause, right? That's my shit. I love that shit. So the fact that they kind of reunite at the beginning and they go looking for Odin is great. The cameo of Doctor Strange, phenomenal. With Loki falling for like 30 minutes just nonstop, which that sounds like fucking hell. I don't know about y'all, that sounds awful. That sounds like the worst kind of purgatory. But yeah, the fact that he's just falling for 30 minutes straight, insane. But also very funny. The sister. We gotta talk about Hela, y'all. I mean, first off, phenomenal villain. Great villain, really cool power set, easily overpowers Loki and Thor. But more than that, y'all, she kinda a baddie. You know, she kinda got it going on. I don't know about y'all. I don't know how y'all feel about her. She was damn sexy in this movie. Every scene she was in, I was like, hello, ma'am, how are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it was, whoo, she rustles my jimmies, you guys. But the performance was great, the acting was great. Fucking, the guy who plays Billy Butcher plays her random servant, which I didn't know that until I looked at the names, which I've forgotten the names, but I'm pretty sure it's the guy who plays Billy Butcher. He's like the random janitor who's like cleaning up or who's doing Heimdall's job once they get rid of Heimdall, you know what I mean? There's also like the small revolution that Heimdall is like kind of mounting. The fact that Heimdall is mounting like or creating a resistance there, kind of sheltering refugees there, phenomenal, really well done. The trash planet with fucking Jeff Goldblum, dog. I don't know where this fort came from, but I have it here and I'm using it as a pointing tool now. That shit was dope, dog. Y'all are lying if you're not telling me that shit wasn't hype. And we also get the fucking Hulk. I almost forgot. We get the Hulk in this movie. We can see the Hulk and Thor duke it out. And Thor's actually kind of close to winning before, he gets shot called. But that shit was excellent, dude. We get Valkyrie here. She's great. It's just everything about this movie is so good, dude. I think it's where it belongs. S tier is absolutely where it's supposed to be. I also like how this is kind of turning into me reviewing all these movies kind of in like, short bite-sized ways as well. This is kind of nice. Next up, Black Widow. I think it's the top of D tier. I definitely liked it more than Doctor Strange. Actually, you know what? We're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna put this up. We're gonna put it right underneath Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we're gonna put. I think we're gonna put Thor and Iron Man 3 down in D tier. Because in hindsight, I do like this movie a lot more than I liked either of these two movies. Don't get me wrong, the plot wasn't anything spectacular. Taskmaster was also kind of weird. I'm used to Taskmaster from like, not the comics, but like I've seen him in Ultimate Spider-Man, and I think he's really, really well done there. So I guess that was just kind of my own expectation, kind of, rooting that little part of the movie for me. But introduction of Yelena, who is, I think, one of the best characters in the modern MCU. Introduction of their foster dad, who's just he's just a crazy Russian guy. I love that. Just a crazy Russian guy as a character. That's fucking excellent, dude. It's great. This movie is really fun. I think the main villain is kind of lacking. And I think the narrative through line is also kind of lacking. But for all the shortcomings, the characters kind of saved this movie. That's why it's in C tier. That having been said, a big strike against this movie. This movie should have come out before Civil War. Or I think after Civil War. This should have come out before Infinity War. 110%. This movie didn't come out until after fucking Endgame. Like, I feel like that's half the reason this movie didn't see a lot of... Maybe it did see some commercial success, but I don't think it saw a ton. Because, like... Why do we want to watch a movie about a chick who's perma-dead? You know what I mean? I watch it because I'm a simp for the MCU. As you can obviously tell, there's more in the S tier than there is in anything else. But yeah. No, I think it's a strong C tier. I think I like it there. Next movie, Shang-Chi, baby. I think we can probably put this at the top of B. Yeah. I love martial arts. I don't study it, but I fucking love that shit. And I love wanton violence that looks good, which martial arts generally does. And this movie, Shang-Chi, I think of the entire MCU, it has the best choreography. Like, by far, by large, bar none. There's no argument here. The action choreography in this movie is phenomenal. From the train scene to the scene where they're like jumping in between that, like, I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like you know how when like a building's being built and a building's like having construction done on it, and they have like those kind of platforms connected by those beams, I guess. They were fighting on that, and that shit was dope. The action choreography in this movie is really, really good. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do think I like Iron Man 1 and Cap 1 just a little bit more. And the only reason for that is because the narrative through line is more solid in these two movies. Shang-Chi is still fucking phenomenal. It's still great. Simu Liu is a phenomenal actor in this movie, and his performance was killer. Awkwafina's performance was fine. It was good enough in this movie, so that was pretty cool. His dad being insane and driven like to open the shadow realm, where the fuck it was, because he thinks his mom's on the other side is cool, but kind of insane. His sister kind of just training on her own after she was abandoned by Shang-Chi. Really cool. And I really enjoy like sibling conflicts and sibling stories in movies, so that also kind of worked for me. But you know, the final fight scene was just kind of like a big CGI fight. That was fine. I did really enjoy kind of like the one-on-one martial arts fight between Shang-Chi and his dad at towards the end of the movie. I didn't like Shang-Chi beating the shit out of that dragon. That wasn't really for me, but that's neither here nor there. I think if they stuck more martial arts, less mysticism, like mystical types of fighting, I think it would have been a better movie. That's just me. But yeah, I think B tier is fine for this. Eternals. This is under Iron Man 3. I fell asleep watching this movie. That's not a good look for a movie. That's not a good look for any movie. This movie just didn't do enough for me. The characters just weren't interesting enough. It was kind of bad. Nothing really else to say. It wasn't great. Fucking what's his face? There were a couple of actors that were really good. Kumail Nanjiani. Love him. Love him in this movie. He's great. And the fact that his baller is just there and he just knows about the Eternals, that was cool. And there were a couple of other actors who also did good, but on the whole, it was just kind of whatever. Didn't really care for it. What is this? Oh, this is I understand. So this, what I thought was Multiverse of Madness, is actually just OG Doctor Strange. OG Doctor Strange is awesome. We'll put it at the top of B tier. I don't think it's an A tier, but I think it was a really, really good movie. Let me put this where it belongs. So Doctor Strange, the OG, is awesome. It's a really good movie. First off, it features our boy Benedict Cumberbatch. So I loved him. I think he's great, and I think he's a really good choice for Doctor Strange as well. And in this movie, he's awesome. He's an arrogant douchebag at the beginning who gets humbled, kind of, when his hands get beat to shit in that car accident he's in. He loses everything. The love of his life kind of leaves him because, he's treating her like a piece of shit. Deserved. And then he goes to Comertage. And that's kind of where he learns a little bit of humility, but he also finds he's really fucking good at magic. He starts doing dope. It's just a good movie. It's just a good, well-told movie. And the final one of this movie, unlike the other initial entries into a lot of these series of movies, is not just an evil magician, but it's a literal god of a plane that he beats not by being more powerful, but by being smarter than this god. Because he uses the Eye of Agamotto to set that little rewind on whenever he dies. It pops him back up into the very moment right before he dies, and then the god gets so pissed off, he's like, fucking, I guess technically that's not true. The main villain is kind of an evil sorcerer. I did forget about that completely. So yeah, okay, no, that's on me. This does fall into that same trope. But it is still really good. I will say I enjoy it more than Iron Man 1 and Cap 1. I think it's definitely at the top of B tier, for sure. But it's a good movie. I really enjoy how Strange, no matter how quote-unquote humbled he is always an arrogant douche, which is great. I love that. So yeah, top of B tier is fine. What is after? Thor, Love and Thunder. This is going to be a hot take. I really like this movie. I really, really like this movie. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that they didn't do right in this movie. Thing number one, they didn't give Christian Bale enough time. Straight up, they call him the God Killer, and they didn't show him killing any gods. That's not how you make a God Killer. That's how you make a guy who thinks he's a God Killer, but we don't fucking know if he is. I do like it more than... I think I like it a little bit less than the OG Cap. Another thing I like about this movie, the humor is very much in the style of Ragnarok, which I love. I also really love the fact that the God Killer at the end is the one who gets the wish and not Thor, which means Thor can't save Natalie Portman. But what he can do is talk to the God Slayer and convince him that what he really wants, what he really should wish for, isn't for all the gods to be destroyed, but for the thing that he misses, you know? Wish for your daughter to come back to life. And then he does. And then Thor adopts the kid and then lets her wield not Mjolnir, but the giant fucking axe thing. I mean, come on, dog. That's sick as fuck. That's dope. If y'all don't think that's dope, y'all are lying to yourselves. That shit is excellent. I love that. So the ending of this movie is great. I really enjoy the fact that Thor was able to give his power to all those kids and the kids were able to beat the shit out of... I don't remember what they were beating the shit out of. They were beating the shit out of something. So that was cool. Really enjoyed the scenes with like Zeus and Thor. That was great. I think the movie was good. I liked it. I don't know what to tell y'all. I know a lot of people didn't like it, and I get that it's because at least part of the people who didn't like it because Christian Bale didn't get enough screen time, and I fully agree. And that is a bad enough strike that instead of being an A-tier movie, it's down in B, right? But I think the movie's still good. I think it's still really fun, and I really enjoy watching it. And I might rewatch this later. Who knows? Next up, Wakanda Forever. I really like this movie. I really like this movie. I cried a ton during this movie. Y'all can judge me for that if you want, but I think movies that really just focus on a theme of loss have to be handled very well. And I think this movie does a good job of kind of showing the struggles Shuri has with losing T'Challa. Again, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. But the fact that it shows her like struggling with loss of T'Challa, shows her like struggle, like she doesn't want to be the Black Panther, right? She says as much herself as she doesn't want to be the person to inherit the title of Black Panther. But then her mom dies. Her mom dies at the hands of Namor, who she was getting to know and even kind of liked, which is insane, right? The fact that she meets the villain of the movie, and the villain of the movie just kind of like talks to her, and they kind of get along, is bananas, truly bad shit. But then her mom dies, and then she sees red, and I think maybe the best scene for me in this movie, besides like the very final scene, is the scene where she goes into like the kind of afterlife scene where all the Black Panthers go when they take the Mystica herb, and she doesn't see T'Challa, but she sees Killmonger, and that's because Killmonger says it herself, right? She's more like Killmonger than she is T'Challa. She cares in this moment more about vengeance than she does being a good Black Panther. You know what I mean? And I think it's such a poignant moment for a young woman to realize that she wanted to meet her brother so badly, but the reason she's meeting this psychopathic murderer is because right now, that's who she's most like. And that's insane. Like I can't even imagine being in those shoes, right? So that's fucking excellent. It was really well done. I really liked it. And the scene at the end with like Shuri meeting her brother's kid, and the brothers, it was, oh my god, I'm crying just thinking about it right now. It's really good. It's really good. Definitely does not deserve to be lower than A. I'm noticing the top half of this list is kind of clogged. We may have to change this towards the end. Let's continue. Quantumania. I think this movie is at the top of C. I don't know what's happening. There it is. I think this movie's at the top of C tier. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie. I really liked this movie. I think this movie was really cool, really fun. there are a couple of things that I didn't really like, a couple of things that didn't really make sense to me. For one, the biggest problem I had, which not really a problem, but something I didn't like, was that Kang says, "Oh, I've killed plenty of versions of the Avengers," and then he gets soloed by Ant-Man. The fuck? What? In what world does that make sense, right? Like, it doesn't. It shouldn't. You know what I mean? Because if Kang killed Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, but he couldn't kill fucking not Paul Walker, holy shit. I forget Ant-Man's name, but he couldn't kill fucking Ant-Man? I mean, come on, that doesn't make any fucking sense. The second thing I didn't like about this movie, Homegirl, Hank Pym's wife. Scott Lang. That's Ant-Man's name. Scott Lang. There it is. I found it. Alright, anyway. Hank Pym's wife. Jane, I wanna say? Could be wrong. Why the fuck isn't she just honest with the family? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like anybody would judge her, you know? I don't understand why she's like, no, you shouldn't make contact with the quantum realm. And everyone's like, oh, but why not? If she had just taken 2 seconds out of her goddamn day to be like, oh, there's actually a psychopathic murderer down there who I really don't want to give any sort of, access to, they would have been like, oh, judging you a little bit, maybe, but good point, ma'am. And then they wouldn't have. So the whole movie could have been avoided with just a little bit of honesty. I don't like it when movies can be avoided with just an honest conversation, unless the movie's about honesty in general, in which case I think it's fine. But this movie, clearly the point wasn't honesty. The point was we gotta rescue the kids and go home. You know what I mean? One thing I did like about this movie, bringing back the evil Ant-Man from Ant-Man 1 as MODOK, that was great. That was awesome. And at the end of the movie, he's convinced he just sucks. He's a piece of shit. That was awesome. The fact that he kind of turned coat on Kang and betrayed him, I didn't care for that too much, because I felt like they were trying to give a redemption arc to a character who really did not deserve one. That's just me. But yeah, I think C-tier is fine. I do also like Jonathan Majors as Kang. I like him as the guy at the end of time. I forget his name. He Who Knows All is, I think, what it is, or something like that. But all the Kang variants that he plays are phenomenal. I'm glad that he's no longer a part of the MCU because he did some kind of messed up shit. But his performances, all the characters he played, were phenomenal. I will give him that. Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal fucking actor, and that's just me removing myself from what he's done. He is good at what he does, right? So his performance in this movie was good. I liked it. But yeah, I don't think it was as good as the OG. I'm actually gonna move OG Ant-Man down to C as well. I really did like it, but I don't think it was as good as Age of Ultron. I'll move Age of Ultron down as well to C, I think. Oh, I'm doing a lot of editing all of a sudden. Let's move it here, and then we want it like this. Yeah, I think this looks a little bit better. Yeah, that probably is right. Ooh. Alright, another fucking S tier movie, guys. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think I like it... Do I like it more than Ragnarok? You know what? I think I do. And the reason I like it more than Ragnarok is because, unlike the other Guardians of the Galaxy movies, unlike Ragnarok even, well, kind of like Ragnarok, this movie is really heavy on just, like, trauma, right? Because we really delve into Rocket's backstory, and his backstory is fucked up. And that guy who created him, fucked up character. Really well acted, really well performed. I loved his performance in this movie. Really fucked up guy. Like crazy amounts of fucked up. And I don't know, man. I really like this movie. The fact that, like, Peter kind of leaves the Guardians, you know what I mean? To, like, go and be with his grandfather, his last remaining family. The fact that the movie's kind of about Peter kind of chasing after a Gamora who no longer exists in the new Gamora, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like he's chasing after a phantom of somebody who used to exist but doesn't exist anymore. And I think there's something poetic about Gamora being like, I get it, but I'm not her, you know what I mean? And the fact that it kind of hints towards Nebula and Peter kind of getting together, it's kind of funny. I like that. I like that pairing a lot more now that we've given Nebula a lot of characterization. I also think this movie, Nebula, so good. so good in this movie. What a phenomenal performance out of her in this movie. It's truly spectacular stuff. Groot, of course, great as per usual. Mantis and Drax also phenomenal in this movie. I also really like the scenes with Cosmo the dog. That was great. Fucking the guy who inherited Yondu's little whistle, bow or arrow shit. That was great. I love the fact that he called her a bad dog and that all their scenes together were phenomenal and really funny. Rocket kind of getting got at the beginning of the movie and not coming back up till like Act 3. Also really well done because that's what kind of gave us the vignettes into his life, right? And it's just, oh my god. So tragic, dude. And then he finds a bunch of raccoons and he frees them all and oh my god, this movie's good. If y'all haven't seen this movie, go fucking watch it. This is a really good piece of phase, I think, 4. I think this is the end of phase 4, the start of phase 5. Really, really good stuff from there. But yeah, enough about Guardians 3, let's move on. The Marvels! I really enjoyed this movie. I think I enjoyed it more than Shang-Chi, less than Love and Thunder, so I think B tier is fine. This is really the movie where Carol Danvers shines. I think this is maybe her strongest performance in like the entire MCU. She does a really good job here, as does Maria Rambeau is I think the daughter's name. But she also does a really good job here, and of course, our homegirl, Kamala Khan, bro, played by I think her name's Amani Villani. A smiley chick, we love that. Shout out my people, dog. We love to see them performing, doing well, rising up. It's a really fun movie. I think it was maybe a little too short, a little too rushed. They could have given a few of the scenes some more time to breathe. But it's really, really fun. The fact that they get to a planet where all anybody does is sing, and Carol's married to the prince of that planet, I mean, come on, dog. That's great. That's fucking excellent, dude. The fact that they're constantly like shifting places in space, also phenomenal. Also really cool. It's just a good, fun movie. And towards the end, where young Rambeau gets shunted into a dimension with Beast, bro, an X-Men tied in the MCU. Come on, dude. Come on. Y'all are crazy if you don't think that's hype as shit. And then finally, Deadpool and Wolverine. Man, here's the thing. I liked this movie going into it. I was kind of expecting something different from what it delivered, and that's kind of why I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as I maybe should have. But I also only seen it once. I am going to go back and rewatch it. And I think from an objective standpoint, like if I remove the expectations I had for this movie was excellent. It was phenomenal, dude. From the montage of Deadpool kind of going to all the little universes with different Logans trying to find one to replace his Logan. From them getting trapped in the void, the wasteland, whatever the fuck the place with Xavier's sister is called. I forget what it's called, but all that shit was great. From fucking Chris Evans showing up not as Captain America, but as spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine if you haven't seen, obviously. But, yeah. Chris Evans showing up as Johnny Storm? Come on, dude. That was hilarious. That was so good. The one thing I didn't like this movie did was it broke up Wade and Homegirl. I forget. I think Veronica? That doesn't sound right. I'm gonna call her Veronica. Y'all know who I'm talking about. His main squeeze, his love interest. The fact that they broke up, without us even like seeing it. Like at the beginning of the movie, they were broken up. That to me didn't make sense because she was the emotional through line of both Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. I don't think they had to have them break up. I think maybe their relationship be kind of strained in the position where they're at. Maybe. I also don't really understand why Deadpool gave up being Deadpool. Like that also doesn't really make sense to me. So I think. Oh, but it is such a fun movie. I think for now we'll put it at the top of A. I definitely think on a rewatch it could be S tier, but I think for now I like it here. And weirdly enough, I think I'm gonna keep this list the way it is. So The most bloated tier we have, strangely enough, is S tier. No, you know what? I actually think what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this here. We're gonna move Avengers and we're gonna move Civil War down to A. Um, I think this is fine. I think A tier is okay. Um, yeah, I think A and B tier are kind of fine. C tier is good, D tier is good, F tier is basically perfect. So yeah, here's the tier list, you guys. Uh, took way longer than I fucking thought to record, so I kind of feel like I should have streamed this because it took like a whole hour and a fucking half. But yeah, here's the tier list. If y'all enjoy this content, please make sure to punch that sub and like button down below. And if y'all can share this on social medias, that would be great. If y'all disagree with any of these takes, which I'm sure a lot of people will, by all means, leave a comment. I would love to argue my opinions with you in the comments down below. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hope y'all have a great rest of the day. And until next time, I will see y'all later. Deuces.